Welcome to Code with Patrick. And today I'm going to be showing you how you can convert your if statement to switch statement. Okay, so the switch statement actually, and the if statement, they're kind of similar. Okay, they're kind of similar, but they have differences. All right, so one of the differences, one of the difference between your if statement and the switch statement is the if statement text for logical expression and equality expression, while the switch statement actually just check for equality expression. And I'm just gonna go ahead right now and show you and express to you how we can make use of those two and how you can move from if statement to switch statement. And enough talking, let's dive right in. So I have created a layout right here in the main activity. I have a text view. We're gonna be using this text view to input or take in a character or a number to display. When we click this check statement, we're just gonna get the result of what we actually have. We're gonna be running an if statement on this button. I forgot to put below. This is gonna be below check if. Okay, so we have the button here, and this one first button, we're gonna be using the first button to display to check the if statement. Okay, and then we're gonna make use of the second button to check the switch statement. All right, so let's go. This is just basically, it's a simple layout. We just have a text view right there and two buttons. One is for checking the if statement, and the second one is for the checking of switch statement. So let's go into the main activity. Here we're going to be making use of list because we want to actually collect an input from the user and print out what the user the corresponding item from the list that the user actually imputed. So here we're just going to have a create list, and I'm just going to give the string, and I'm going to call this an item. And here I'm going to come here and initialize. Okay, I want to reference the button we have in our XML layout. So I'm just going to call this check for the first one if, and the second one is check switch. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about actually. So on the next one is the edit text. So I'm just gonna call this edit text, okay, just to keep it simple. And right here we want to reference what we have up there. So the check if, I'm gonna call this and find the view by ID, and I'm gonna say arrow.id the check if. Okay, so that's it, and I'll go for the second one, which is check switch, and I'm still gonna find the view by ID, and I'm gonna reference this check switch. Alright, and then the edit text, so I'm gonna call this edit text, and I'll find the view, and I'll call it arrow.id the edit text. Alright, pretty much it. So now let's initialize our list, and I'm gonna call this item is equals to new array list. So we want to convert that to array list so we can add up our items. Okay, so now we want to add item to that. I'm gonna call in the method of the array list and call that I'm the first item. I'm call it by name. Let me call this Bernard, the first person. Oh, Bernard doesn't even suit an item, so let me just call this cookies. And then the next one, I'm just gonna call item dot add, and I'm gonna call this rice. And the next one, I'm gonna call this let me call this beans. Okay, just keep it simple. Alright, now we want to set and click listener for our check. First of all, we're gonna work with the if statement. Okay, so we're gonna go set a click listener on the check if button. So I'm gonna call this new on click listener. If I want to make use of Lambda right here, I have actually I'm gonna make a video for this. Sorry, I'm gonna make a video for this. It's actually just a productive way of writing code and making it simple. But if you don't really know what I'm doing here, it's a video for another day. So I'm just gonna go set on click listener. Sorry. And I'm gonna go the normal way on new view on click listener. Okay, so right here we have on our click method, and I'm just gonna write some if statement here. Okay, now I want to first of all call in the edit text and check if they get the value from the edit text. Okay, so we're gonna make use of the if statement here. If edit text, okay, that's get text that equals to, if it equals to nothing, okay, nothing. So what we want to do is we want to tell the user you don't have anything in the edit text. So we're still making use of edit text, right? I'm sorry, we're still making use of the if statement to check this actually the result for that. And I'm just gonna give in the main activity as a context right here, and I'll tell the user, hey, edit text is empty. Okay, so you can put whatever thing you want there, but what about if it's not empty? So I'm gonna make use of the else statement. If it's not empty, so what will happen here is now I want to check, I want to put in a sub if and else conditional statement right here. Now I want to check and get the input of that particular test. So I'm just gonna go and say edit text. I'll store it here in a string. Let me declare a global variable up here, global string variable. So I'm just gonna come here and I'll type string and I'll call this value. Okay, so we're gonna be storing the result of whatever the user put in the edit text right inside of the value, string value. So I'm gonna call this equals to, now that we've checked if it is empty. If it is not empty, then we want to get the input of that particular edit text. So I'm just going to call the edit text and get text, and now I'm just going to call to string. Okay, so another thing I want to call the trim just to check for a white space. Okay, so now I have the value of what the user type. Now I want to actually get if the user actually inputs 0, we want to print cookies. Okay, if the user actually inputs 1, it's gonna want to print rice. If the user actually input 2, we want to print beans. Okay, all right, let's go. So I'm just gonna go here and write another if statement here. So I want to say if I'm gonna call in the item, sorry, if value. Now because we're dealing with string, values equals to string, so we're gonna just make use of the equals to, but I'm just gonna call your attention to something right away, just very soon. And if value is equals to 0, so what we want to do is we want to print out, we want to toast, or do we have edit text? We have text view here. Oh no, we don't want to toast. So let's make use of toast to view that. If you want to actually see it on a text view, you just have to make use of text view. But for now, I'm just going to keep it simple so that we can get the clear picture of what we want. You can do this with the edit text view, with the text view, but for right now I'm just going to make use of toast. So here I want to print in the value cookies. So I'm just going to say item that gets. Okay, this get method is actually we're gonna be needing it as an integer, but right here what do we have? Our value is string, right? So we want to make use of integer here. Integer, then we're gonna say the parse. Okay, just parse int, and we're gonna put in our value, and that's pretty much it. So what happens here is that this code is gonna run when the user inputs 0. It's this particular block of if statement is gonna run, and it's gonna get our item here and put the value 0, but because the value is string, and the sub method get actually does not accept string, it accepts integer. So that's why we have integer right here. We're converting the string to integer. So that's it. And now let's go around and say x if x if is just a continuation of your if statement. And what about if it value is equals to 0, sorry 1 this time around? So I'm just gonna make everything a little bit quicker. So I'm just gonna copy this and I'm gonna place it down here. And this time around we want to still print the value. Okay, we want to print the value is still gonna remain the same, nothing changed. Okay, so and then we have the last item. We can either continue making use of the if statement, or we want to say x. If nothing, if it's not 0, if it is not 1, then if it is something else, maybe 2, 3, 1,000, 1,000,000, it doesn't matter. It's just the conditions you've set here. If nothing is met, then every other thing will run under the x statement. So you have a choice. You can either do x if again, get the item of the last item here, or you just go with the x statement. But for now, I'm just going to go with the x statement. So I'm just going to print that, print the value, and then yep, that's basically it for the if statements. And we're gonna go ahead right now and just copy and just okay, we don't have to copy, let's just go down here and run our switch statement, check switch, and then we're going to set on click listener on the switch statement as well. Now the same thing we performed on the if statement, we want to perform the same thing right here on the switch statement. So here I'm just going to say new on click listener. Okay, so I have my on click method right there. So let's go ahead and say switch. We're going to call switch. We're going to call switch, but first of all we want to call our text. Now we're going to call the value too as well. We want to save that. Okay, so we want to save the value. We want to get the value from the text that was typed. We want to get the value, get text, and we want to save it into that string up there. So I'm going to call this to string dot stream. Okay, so that's it. We have the value saved up here. So now we're going to use our switch statement to call up the same thing, if value. Now we're going to open our curly braces, case. Okay, and then case value equals to nothing. Okay, so if it is equals to nothing, we still want to print the same thing. We want to print, want to toast and tell the user, hey, nothing is typed on the switch. Okay, so I'm going to call the main activity this, and I'm gonna say nothing is typed. Alright, so now for the each statement, you want to break each condition. Once the condition is met, once you're done with what you're doing right here, okay, once you're done executing your code for this particular condition, you want to break it, otherwise it will go down to the next one and everything will be messed up. Okay, you don't want everything to be messed up. You just want to work on the condition, a set condition that you have, and once the condition is met, you want to get it over with. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is to go to the next one, and I'm going to call the next one. So I'm going to set it as I'm just going to go ahead right now and make use of the next case. Okay, case. Now we've actually checked if it is nothing. The next one is we want to check if it is 0. Okay, case if it is 0. So what we want to do is we want to print out what we have on our list item, just like we did here for the if statement. So I'm just going to come here and say toast. I'm going to toast the same thing, and I'm going to call the main activity as our contest, this, and then here I'm gonna, because we still have it to be string, so I'm just gonna call the item and I'll convert that to integer, just like we did for the if statement, to pass int, and then I'll put in the value. Okay, so this is getting too long here, so I'm just going to come down here. Remember, you want to break the statement. And for here as well, just like we have the X statement, in your switch statement we have it, we call it default. Okay, you want to set the default value. If each of those things, these conditions are all met and none of them is actually met, the last place you want to fall under is the default statement. So here you can still continue just like the if statement we have up here. Just like here we have x if I can still continue with my x if right here, but I decided to make use of x. So the same thing in a switch statement, we call that default. Okay, what runs if every other condition you have, none of them is working, all of them returns false. So what happens, it falls back to the default if you set it. Okay, so if you don't set it, it's nothing is going to happen. So I'm just going to come here and set default just to make the code look a little bit different, you know. So for default, you don't have to write any kind of string. This is what happens if it is not equals to 0, if it is not equals to 1, if it's not. Oh my god, I missed one thing right here. So I need to give more statement here to 1. Okay, so I'm just gonna come up here, and the one thing you want to see I'm doing right here is for your switch states, you want to make sure that it's in this other. Okay, your switch is right on this line, it's just placed. If you mix this all the way down here, it's not gonna work. Okay, that's the way the compiler actually sees it. If the compiler is actually going through this code and then it's not being arranged this way, it's not gonna work properly. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have it in this form. Okay, so that's it. Now we want to go write out the fourth statement. I'm gonna say I want to toast. Okay, so I'm gonna toast right here, and oh my god, I don't need this. I'm just gonna get rid of that. So I'm gonna toast right here the same thing, and then I post that, and basically that's it. So we're done with this code. We're done with setting on click listener to the switch and X statements, and then we actually run the same thing we have here. We converted this if statement to basically a switch statement right here. So we're just gonna run this code and see how it works on the screen. So let's go ahead and run this right now. Alright, so we have our app right here on the screen, and what we want to do right now is to test out what we've done. We have the if statement right here, and we have the check switch statement. Okay, so right up here we don't have any item. I'm going to go ahead and click on the if statement and see what we have. What it's going to say. Oh, okay, we have it right there. Hey, edit text is empty, so which we can see the edit text is empty. And I'm going to go ahead and click this check switch statement and see what happens. Oh, nothing is typed. So you can see that both of them actually is working perfectly well. So let's go ahead and put 0 in here in the edit text and check the if statement. Oh, you see, the if statement is actually printing out the first item, which is cookies. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this check switch statement and see what happens. The same thing is happening right here. So this is working perfectly well. Let's go ahead and click on the 1 and see what we have. Rice, cool. And then we go to the switch statement and rice, pretty much well. Now let's check on our default statement. Our default statement, we have 2. And then check if statement, beans, pretty much well. Now check the switch statement, beans. So this is actually working well. This is amazing. And that's it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click the subscription button and then, click the notification bell so you can get upload my updates of videos whenever I upload videos. And that will be all for now, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.